case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Jonny Athletic will be with us at about 5:30. We chatted with Sam Mitchell much earlier in the program. He provided us a clue of his degree, or the degree of commitment to the KG bit, to be here last night for the return of KG to Target Center, and back in Wolves land, so to speak. He made a last-minute decision to fly from Atlanta, Georgia, where he lives, to Minneapolis, St. Paul. There was one seat left on the flight that would get him here in time. Not only was it a coach seat, it was a middle seat. And Sam Mitchell said, for KG, I'm going. Now, again, Sam Mitchell, there are people out there saying, well, he deserves a medal for this? Come on. Well, he is 6'8".
I was going to say, how tall is he? He's a big guy.
6'7", 6'8", yeah. Big guy.
I think he's had knee replacement or hip replacement.
I bet you that's the first time he's flown coach in like 30 years, if ever.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Impressive display, because Sam told us he surprised KG. KG did not know he was here. Got a key somehow from the hotel lobby to KG's room, which
that's
seems
the most
like
interesting part.
Kind of light security to me.
Yeah.
And then before he could even open the door, KG opens it and then engulfs him in a bear hug as Sam Mitchell surprises him. Good conversation with Sam about his history with KG will be available to you after the show if you missed it. Where do you want to begin the top 5?
Well, let's kind of begin with our playoff teams, because I think the most important thing to talk about is the schedule at this point. What we know about the schedule. We know that the Wolves, because the San Antonio Spurs Davey could not beat the Denver Nuggets, which I'm not going to lie, kind of took the starch out of my KG high that I was on yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I was really banking on, and I knew it. I was texting with everybody, Jonny Athletic and Jace Frederick, I think even Kreger's, Charlie Swanson. The Wolves are going to play the Lakers again. This thing is going to happen. The way that San Antonio played the weekend, the way that Denver played the weekend, the Wolves are going to somehow, despite not really earning it, bluff their way into a very, forgiving matchup with the zombie Lakers. Luka is overseas right now, spending time with his family and doing all types of random rehab. Austin Reeves is hurt as well. You're going to play 41-year-old LeBron in the cast of characters with J.J. Redick. And I even knew, as I was thinking about it, Dan, all day on Saturday and then all day on Sunday, that something was going to go wrong. And it was that San Antonio couldn't beat the zombie Nuggets with Luka, or I should say Nikola Jokic, playing a half. And so we're heading to Denver. We know it's a 2:30 puck drop or tip time for game 1 with these two teams that are very familiar with each other. It'll be on Amazon Prime. And the Minnesota Wild, we know, are taking on the Dallas Stars. We think that will be on Saturday as well. And all indications are that the Wild Stars series will either be a 1 o'clock puck drop, 2 o'clock Eastern, or 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central. So that's what it looks like. Both of those games on Saturday are going to collide with each other.
Refresh my memory. I don't know if the rest of the schedules have been dropped yet. My recollection is early in the playoffs, the NBA tends to put a lot of time between between games.
Yes.
And the NHL not so much. I don't know.
Good question. I don't know for sure on the hockey. So hopefully Gaardsy's conscience, Kevin Fallness, could text 64686 and let us know. NBA, you're spot on. Last year, remember, that was the big conspiracy that they were giving the Lakers a third rest day between games 2 and 3 when we played them here. I think we played them on a Sunday.
Yeah, weary bones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that was the big conspiracy by those of us that are, I think, rightfully paranoid that they're always trying to shortchange the Minnesota team. So I'd imagine for the Wolves, I would think at minimum early it's 2 days off. So game 1 Saturday, I would think game 2 in Denver would be on Tuesday.
I will see.
I would imagine then it'd be Friday maybe for the start here for game 3, but I don't know.
Denver finished the season on a 12-game winning streak.
Yep.
They knocked off Oklahoma City in a battle of reserves, I think, Friday night, and then they wrapped it up by beating a a Wemby-less Spurs club. So Thunder they beat for the 11th straight win, and then Spurs. So they're playing very well. They've won 12 in a row. This is not the same Denver team that the Wolves beat 2 years ago in the playoffs, pretty convincingly, as it turns out. They and the biggest, I think, change really is the not Joker. Joker's Joker. Is this nugget, no pun intended, accurate? That he became the first player in league history to lead the league in rebounding and assists.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see that circulate today. Double digits for both.
He's a marvel. He's an astonishing player. But the X factor for Denver has tended to be Jamal. When we beat the Spurs or beat the Nuggets a couple years ago in the playoffs, he was mediocre. And some of that was good defense, getting in his grill a little bit, frustrating him. When they beat us, he averaged 27 a game. I think this year, regular season, he's averaging 25. Has been absolutely outstanding. So I think it's a very, very difficult matchup for anybody, but especially this club. Wolves can guard better than Denver. Denver's offense is better than the Wolves. No question about that as far as I'm concerned. So the question, I think, is can you play good enough defense to take a little bit away from their offense? You know, maybe that can be the deal. Because we do have, as we talked about with Sam Mitchell, you got three players who, when they're in the mood, can guard almost all over the court, right? Anthony Edwards, when he's going good, we know that's Jaden's strength. And we know about Rudy's strength. In fact, did you see the stat? Speaking of Rudy again, for those
the points in the paint stat
haters out there, the points in the paint stat that Johnny had?
Yes, I did see it. Refresh our memory.
Let me see if I can find it on the fly here, because it's not a stat that will make its way to Shaquille O'Neal. And by the way, did you hear what Shaquille had to say about the matchup?
Probably Nuggets sweep.
He said, well, yeah, that's great for Denver because Joker always has his way with Rudy Gobert. Everything is about his obsession anti-Rudy Gobert.
The guy that averages 30, 12, and 10 only has his way with Rudy.
That's it.
Nobody else.
No one else.
No one else. The guy that you just mentioned leads in rebounds and assists and can score 50 if he wants to, but it's only because he plays Rudy Gobert 82 nights a season.
Rudy sits against Houston, and Wolf-Wise Statistics writes this. The Timberwolves gave up 48 points in the paint in the first half against Houston. To put that in perspective, in the 294 games since Gobert arrived in Minnesota, that's 588 halves, the Wolves have never allowed that many points in the paint in a half. Now, there's a comeback to that. You say, okay, I get it. He's great defensively, but what do we lose offensively? And that has to be part of the discussion with Rudy.
For sure.
But the problem with people's evaluation of him is because there's no spectacular highlight you can look to underscore that statistic. People yawn. They get bored with it. It's not as exciting as seeing Rudy fumble the ball as he's going to the basket and somebody threads a pocket pass to him, right? And that, unfortunately, is why people get a very distorted view of what his true value is, at least certainly on the defensive side of the court.
It's Gus Bus tonight when the Wild take on St. Louis. You can hear that game right here on the Fan. Every Wild game, by the way, you can hear right here on the Fan.
I hope so. And it's Gus Bus tonight, and the question on the table is he net minding tonight with game one in peril? In other words, if he struggles again tonight, might it tip the balance in favor of what would be a gutsy and I still think surprising move, going with the kid goaltender and not the guy you envisioned as being your number one goaltender this entire season? And frankly, he's been the number one goaltender for most of this season. I'm fascinated by that story because I do think it would take some cojones to do it. I don't think it should be ruled out at this point. I really don't.
Twins have now won 6 of 7. Who do they turn to?
6 of 7?
6 of 7. Taj Bradley, all he does is win. Allowed 1 run, 5 hits in 5 innings, his 3rd straight victory. as the Twins took 2 of 3 in Toronto from the Blue Jays. Tristan Gray with a 3-run dong.
All we do is hit.
Lavelle's guy, Cody Clemens, added a solo shot. We win 8-2, and now we own the best record in the American League.
I thought we were tied for the best record.
Are we tied?
Isn't somebody else 9-7? I could be wrong.
Well, you really took the starch out of my proclamation there.
Look at our
Cleveland's 9-7. We're tied with them.
with them. Look at our run totals the last several games. Toronto again, runs we scored 8, 7, 4, 3, 8, 4, and 7. And you told me this team, all the ball guys told me this team couldn't hit.
Light hitting.
That's part of the reason that the expectations are in the basement.
Well, pretty good.
Now we're supposed to be surprised, I guess. I don't know. I'm all confused. Anyway.
So we're supposed to play tonight against the Boston Red Sox. We'll see if that game gets in, because as you're probably aware, I know our show's been interrupted a time or two with National Weather Service EAS alerts with severe thunderstorms possible tonight. So we'll see. I haven't seen anything, haven't been looking that hard. 6:40 is supposed to be the tip time tonight, first pitch tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Bailey Ober's scheduled to go for the home team.
The tall guy.
The tall guy who throws like 78 miles an hour. We can talk Masters if you want. Otherwise, it's a good time to straddle. Rory McIlroy won his second straight Masters.
Because he cheated. He apparently was playing the course all hours of the day and night. I don't even know how you play the course at night, but apparently he pulled it off, giving him an advantage. No surprise that as a defending champion, he'd have an easier time winning it again.
What do they say about Augusta? What do you need to win at Augusta? You need experience. You need experience.
That's right.
And Rory's got that. I love that the fact that when we left on Friday, about this time, when we were talking top 5 at 5 about this time, Rory was 12 under.
The machine. It
was just, I think he birdied 6 of the last 7 holes, maybe the last 4. But he had gone on this ridiculous run. We talked about it during the top 5, and then there was 2 stories. Does he run away from the field, or does he collapse? He didn't necessarily collapse because he shot even par for the rest of the tournament, obviously. Yeah. But it was a winding road, including, I don't know if you saw 18, where he's got a 3-shot lead, I think it was. No, 2-shot lead, because Scheffler had gone to 11 under. And he completely mangles his drive, leaves himself with not a lot of he's got to hit a couple of really good shots to just get himself in a position to 2-putt for the win. That is the genius of Rory. He brings you along for the ride.
Yeah.
Like it's never
entertaining.
It's never smooth. Even when it's going smooth, he's one bad shot away from the wheels kind of coming off, and he's got to bring himself back, and that's what he did. So, as he said, it took him 17 tries to get number 1. And now he's gone back-to-back. Only 4 players have done that in history.
I've got some leftover Wolves stuff. I've got some Lynx stuff I intended to get to earlier. I want to run by you. WNBA draft is tonight. The Lynx with the 2nd overall pick. And then we will prepare for Jonny Athletic on all sorts of stuff at the bottom of the 5 o'clock.
Fan.
Ready to tee it up with a brand new Callaway Quantum driver? We'll head over to our contest page now. Take a swing at winning one courtesy of Grandview Lodge. KFAN.com, keyword contest to enter.
I can't even look at him with a straight face anymore. Your Masters champion is on SportsCenter right now. Well, it's not a live interview, but I can't after what you told me about what he'd been doing to steal his 2nd consecutive title. I can't even look at him the same way. I never look at him the same from this point forward. Okay. Oh, one other quick Wolves nugget, and a texter makes this point, and it's a good one. We're talking about dealing with the Denver Wings, including, of course, the point guard, Jamal. DeSumo is another guy who can guard. Now, again, Murray, when he's going good, I don't really think anybody can stop him. But you at least have another player who is interested in guarding, who has made it his career, young career, really has been identity, is to guard, to be very serious about that aspect of it. And that, too, is what I think the Wolves are going to have to count on if they're going to pull off the upset over Denver.
Jamal Murray, by the way, an underrated road villain.
Yeah, he is. That's true. Yeah, he likes playing that. You can tell he enjoys that.
He's good at it. I even think about that series.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, everybody was mad at him because of the heating pad thing, where he threw it on the court.
Yes.
Didn't Carl almost slip on it? Or Carl did slip on it, I think.
I think he got a technical, didn't he, on that? I'm pretty sure he
may have.
Technical, yeah.
But then he didn't get suspended, which he should have been.
Yeah.
And we knew he wouldn't. I remember being mad about that. So we were pretty rough on him, the crowd, when he came, obviously, and that's still, to this day, something that comes up. But he hit that half quarter. Was it either game 3 or game 4 when they came in here? They went on that run right before the half. Like, he is very effective at using the vitriol and negativity to his advantage. So it's going to be pretty heated in the Target Center.
No question. Well, you saw the quote from David Adelman. We don't duck anybody. Because the allegation was, well, we kind of expected you guys to want to lose because you didn't want to play the Wolves. And Adelman said, we don't duck anybody. We've got a ring. Now, he doesn't have one.
Right, not as a head coach.
But they do. Lynx, WNBA draft is tonight. We have the second overall pick. Does it start at 6 our time or 7?
You know, I knew during the break you were going to ask me what time it started, and I didn't look.
It's okay. We'll figure that out in a minute. It'll be an opportunity to get into who we've gained and who we've lost. Because I feel like we've lost a lot. Other people have said, it's players that got their big payday and we're not going to be able to spend all that kind of money. I don't know. I thought everybody had more money to deal with, including us at this point. But, I mean, the one that stood out to me, and I don't know what kind of offer we made on her or what our restrictions were, but Alana Smith goes to the Wings.
Dallas, yep.
She, I believe, was co-defensive player of the year in the league.
Yes.
She's a good player. She's a good anchor, has been a good anchor defensively, has she not? I think that's a loss. We knew we were going to lose somebody in the expansion draft. We lost Bridget Carlton there. We lost your gal, Jessica Shepard, also to the Wings. Remember DeJohnny Carrington? We were all excited about getting her late last season?
Yes.
Well, she's gone. She went to the Chicago Sky.
Yep.
Smith I mentioned. Shepard I mentioned. Heidemann to Seattle. And Carlton's the other, I guess you could say, significant name. We supposedly went after, and I never knew how to pronounce her last name, Ogwumike, I think. Remember, in fact, there was a false alarm story where it sounded like people were celebrating us signing her as a free agent.
Right.
She had to go
LA.
Public to say, not so fast, my friend. She goes back to the Sparks. And we also apparently went after Gabby Williams. And she ended up going to the Golden State Valkyries. So we did sign, was it yesterday? Was it Courtney Williams to a 2-year deal? Mm-hmm. Did I see that?
Yep.
Kayla McBride is coming back, correct?
And that's important.
Natasha Howard we got as a free agent. Some people like her, some people not so much. I don't know.
And then local angle, Nia Coffey's coming home.
Oh, that's right. Yep. I don't think we're even. I would say right now we're not even in terms of wins and losses. Do you think we're even?
No.
I don't think we are.
No, I don't think so.
Now, again, that's what makes, I think, the second overall pick so interesting. Are we down enough that Reeve will be less tempted to draft for the future? Because everybody keeps talking about this center out of Spain who already has a lot of international experience, but I think is viewed as someone who's going to might take a minute to figure the thing out.
She's 19 years old.
And she's 19. That's also part of it. So if that's true, can you plug her in immediately? And if you can't, and you feel like you're short, do you go, well, we got to get somebody who can help us a little bit more quickly here? I don't know. It'll be. I'm fascinated to see what direction that we go in that sense. Now, who's our star player?
Nafisa Collier.
Nafisa, do we yet know whether she's going to be? I don't think she's going to be on time for the start of training camp, correct?
I don't know that as a fact. I don't know if it's been established. I assume it's going to come up tonight.
So maybe
when they talk to Cheryl after the draft.
And if she's not, I don't want to call this a gap year because I don't think Reeve believes in gap years. But is it possible you do look at this year as, all right, we don't know how far we're going to go. We're retrenching. We got to get her healthy. And we do think we got a really star center of the future out of Spain, but it might take a year or two for us to retrench. I don't know. Because right now, I'm not sure I look at us as a championship contender.
I don't think I do
25, 26.
No.
Or I guess this would just be 26.
Yeah.
Now, is there another big name? I don't even think we have that much money left, which I don't understand why that's true. I know we got to give Collier the Supermax, which is 1.4. I think it's 1.4 mil.
Mm-hmm.
But we still should have more money to play with, I would think. But all that, I think, is what makes the draft intriguing on which direction we go having the number 2 overall pick. And we've learned in the WNBA, the number 2 overall pick is no certainty at all, the way it works right now. So who's picking ahead of us? Do you know who's got the number 1 pick?
I do. It's Dallas.
And who are they supposed to take? Are they supposed to take...
Well, AZ Fudd is the UConn
star,
teammate with Paige Beckers, and so she's in that mix.
She's in the mix.
Yeah,
as well.
most people think that's going to be the pick.
So if they don't take her for some reason, is it automatic we would take her?
I guess it depends on who they took, because most mocks have us taking the TCU guard, Olivia Miles.
What do we think? I haven't seen enough of her.
She's good. Yeah, she's small. She's only 5'10", small.
Is she
she's
a point?
5'10". Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Had a bunch of triple doubles, a great 3-point shooter, dynamic offensive player. The kids would say she's a bucket. She can go get it, is how I would describe her. And TCU's been a pretty good program here recently, and she was a big part of that.
Yeah. Well, somebody's texting that they'd heard that Fee might miss half the season. I have no idea whether any of that's been established yet, but I do think the question's important about how you're moving forward. If, in fact, you have to look at this as a year where we're really not going to be a championship contender. You don't declare that, obviously, but that's the reality. And maybe that has, again, some impact on your willingness to be more philosophical and more patient in drafting a player that you say, in 5 years or maybe less, she's got a chance to be one of the best, 5 centers in the league, or maybe even the best. We just might have to wait that out a little bit. And we may need to do that anyway, because if Collier's going to take a while to come back, where are we really going this year anyway? I don't know. That's the question.
Yeah, you don't want too long of a project, though.
No,
that's
thing. True.
Because Collier, as great as she is, she's been in the league for a while now.
Yeah.
So you'd like to think if it is a gap year that you bounce back in 27, you'd want to have a fully loaded deck for that.
Has anybody, what's the reporting been on Smith? Did we make an offer that was just as good and she picked someplace else? Because if that's true, that's a story too, right? If we made a similar offer and she chose to go someplace else, I think maybe I'll even ask Jonny Athletic that question, because I think he's doing some Lynx stuff now as well. What does that say? I mean, are we not that high on her, or do we think she got not? I don't think she got the Supermax. I don't believe, because I don't think she could. But I think she got the max, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is, I want to say 1.19. I thought was the number I remembered from yesterday, somewhere around there.
She got a 3-year max deal.
Okay.
And that would make, because Courtney Williams got the max here. She's making 1.2. Okay. So that would be
okay.
That would be what I would think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then that's the calculation. I guess it had to be one or the other. You couldn't keep both.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because again, the stuff she did was subtle. I'm not calling her Rudy Gobert, but it was defensive stuff largely, wasn't it? I mean, that's what her deal was. She created a lot of the, I think the improved defense for this team the last couple seasons too. So we'll see where that goes. Jonny Athletic, maybe with some Lynx stuff, but plenty of Wolves stuff to coming up. It'll be our last chance probably to preview the series with him. Series that will start 2:30 Central. Game number 1 will be on the Timberwolves channel. I don't know if it'll be on the Fan, because there might be overlapping with the Wild.
Right.
In which case, we don't know
that yet.
The Wolves will be on the Timberwolves channel for sure. Game 1 in Denver. I'm sure Johnny will be there. Let's get his view of how he sizes up the series, what he took out of the last week or two of regular season basketball. And if you have questions for him, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 646 8-6. I'll think about whether I can read this text.
Man.
It's time for Jonny Athletic, Jonny Athletic, Jonny Athletic. And he's on with Dan Barrero right now.
He is? I don't see him. I thought you had him on hold. I think we lost the connection with Jonny
Might have
Athletic.
been user error by me.
That'll happen. If you have questions for Jonny, and many of you do, Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is always open, 24/7, 646-86. That's 646-86. We'll talk some Wolves. We'll talk, I'll tell you what, here's the toss-up question for Jonny here on the brink of the WNBA draft starting. Are you going with the number 2 overall pick, Awa Pham, or Pham, I don't know how to pronounce it, or Lauren Betts?
I like Awa Pham because it seems like she is the higher upside. I think she's not as polished, she's not as accomplished yet as Betts is, but I'm more intrigued by, I think she could develop into just an amazing player. Maybe it doesn't work out here, so there's a little bit more risk involved, but I just like her profile and the long-term trajectory for her. So that's where I would go if I were the Lynx.
You don't like UCLA greatness, huh? Not good enough for you.
It's just, I don't know, Dan. First of all, I'm not speaking with any real education. I watched them in the Final Four, and that was it. So I can't speak super intelligently about it, but what I have Beth seems incredibly skilled, great size, but it does seem like in the NBA or in the WNBA, you need a little bit more mobility. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder about that part of her game and how that translates to a league that is a little more spread out, that does move a little faster than college. And, maybe she would be just fine with it. But just my initial impressions, if I were, and I am kind of shooting from the hip here, I like the upside. And, I think Awa Pham, she's dunking in Spain and stuff, right? So, why not give that a chance? Some, more athleticism, over, feel, which Betts clearly has a ton of that.
You're not kidding me for a minute. You've had clearly off-the-record conversations with Ricky Rubio on her and gotten the inside word. That's what it is, isn't it?
What do you mean? I wish I had, and if she's the pick, I will definitely hit him up on that. But I have not done that yet.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
But maybe I am leaning into my Spanish biases. Maybe it's just thinking about how much fun Ricky was, and I'm translating that onto her and just expecting the same things, which that's dangerous in itself as well.
One of the Lynx question that you might not be prepared to answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do we know, I've not seen much reporting on this yet, did we make a legitimate offer to keep Smith, our front court co-defensive player of the year? Were we going to run out of money? Because she ended up getting a 3-year max deal, right, to leave. I get that.
Yeah.
But were we not competitive there? Did we just make a conscious decision to go another direction? Or what do we know? Because to me, that's the loss. That's the big loss so far.
It is a big loss, especially, not just on the court, but, what she brought to the locker room and all the vibes and everything. I wish I had a real answer for you, and I don't. Because I'm going to try to do a little bit of more digging on exactly how this free agency has played out. Was it a money thing? Was it, were there other factors that were involved? Because the Lynx, I think you could say, have been underwhelming so far coming out of the gates free agency wise. They got Natasha Howard, which is great, and they've added a few other pieces. But the other part that I wonder about with Smith, Dan, is there were portions of the playoffs last year where she was not playable, where they had her off the floor a lot. And I just wonder if age factors in and all of that money that they'd have to pay. And maybe they just decided that, they didn't want to invest that heavily in her. I'm not sure, but I have to ask around about that. I don't have an answer for you right now.
All right. The message that you took out of KG's return to Minnesota, what? Everything we could have hoped for? Just this kind of the first step with bigger stuff yet to come. What did you make of last night's proceedings?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously very, very cool to see him walk back into the arena, to get the ovation that he did. Heard that he talked to the players in the locker room pregame, and so he definitely wants to connect with the team, and the team wants to connect with him. Like, all the players were super excited to see him. All the fans were as well. I understand if fans kind of wanted to hear from him, whether it was in an interview, whether it was like over, the loudspeaker or something like that, and connect, and he didn't. And so I could see if fans were just a little bit like, is that it? Is that all we're going to see, is just watch him sit courtside and that's it? I imagine that, or I do know that there's going to be more sort of interaction and content going forward. I don't know if he's going to be back for the playoffs or not, but this is all kind of basically up to KG and what he wants to do. And he can do as much or as little as he wants, essentially. And he is a mercurial individual, and sometimes he wants to do stuff and sometimes he doesn't. And so we'll see how all that plays out. But in terms of just getting him back in the arena, letting the fans see him and cheer for him again, and laying the groundwork for a jersey retirement ceremony next year, like, I think that was all very good. I could see in his face, like, he sat with his daughters. Like, I think he was really happy to show his daughters that and to experience that with them. And so that part, there was some emotions involved, but it did. I think some fans were left wanting a little bit more and wanting to hear a little bit more from him, and maybe that'll come down the road.
We did hear from the head coach after the last game, and I'm trying to figure out whether I'm projecting too much meaning in what I thought I heard Finchie say. Was the message in part the cliched, park your egos at the door? We've all decided, or we all have to decide, that we got to do whatever we got, or I got to do as a coach, whatever I got to do, matchup-wise, who's going to play, when they're going to play, different combinations against different opponents, etc., and that we all need to understand that's going to be the reality going forward on this playoff run. Did I hallucinate that, or did he say something like that?
No, yeah, you're exactly right, Dan. He did. He is. You can tell. Finchie is an expert message deliverer around this time of year, and you can tell that the theme of these playoffs in this series in particular against a very, very good opponent is you better be ready to sacrifice. And I do think that is a question that we have not yet answered with this particular group. Like, are they really willing and able to sacrifice and do whatever it takes to win? Because they're going to have to. I mean, it might mean that some players aren't going to get the shots that they normally get. It might mean that Rudy isn't playing in some stretches, that he normally would. It might mean that the starting lineup changes as the series goes along, if need be. And so Finchie is really laying the groundwork to say, guys, I'm going to have to throw everything I possibly have at this Nuggets team. This is not the Lakers, who we would have bum rushed in 5 games and gotten out of there with. This is going to be an absolute war if we're going to have a chance to win with the way that the Nuggets are playing. And so I think he's going to be sending that message all week here is, you better check your egos at the door or else we're going to get embarrassed. If I have to continue to kind of placate you and do the political things, we're going to lose this series. And so it's all hands on deck. It's whatever it takes. And that was absolutely kind of the mantra that Finch was putting forward last night.
Does that mean we saw enough promise from Shannon in, let's face it, relatively meaningless end of the season situations, that you could see him be a player who gets some selective but important time in this series?
I'm going to say I hope so, Dan. And I think that goes both ways. One is that Shannon has to be ready and able to fill that role, whatever it is, and he doesn't and can't shrink from the spotlight, can't have a bad game. He's got to go out and be aggressive and attack the way that he has these last 3 games, which have been terrific. The second part of that is that Chris Finch has to be willing to trust a young player who has not played a lot this season in some of these moments. They're playing the best offense in the NBA. They do not have the same defense in this series that they had 2 years ago when they beat the Nuggets. And so I can see a scenario where they are just going to have to trade buckets with these guys if their defense is not going to be completely up to par. And if that is the case, Chris Finch may be forced to put Terrence Shannon Jr. out there instead of Kyle Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
He may be forced to not play Mike Conley as much. He may, these veterans that he really, really trusts and really believes in are going to be tested in this series in a different way. And maybe they will come through. It's possible. But if they are struggling to score in this series, Chris is going to have to go to Terrence Shannon Jr. and give him a real shot at this. And so it's going to be as much of a challenge on Shannon as it is on the coach to make those decisions in real time, when to do it, when not to.
Who guards Joker?
I think that they will do a lot of Julius Randle and Naz Reid on Joker, and then Rudy Gobert kind of roaming. The big problem, though, this time around, Dan, is they got away with it in the Nuggets series because Aaron Gordon was a much streakier shooter.
True.
This year, he's been terrific from 3. And so I think that Rudy will have a hard time helping off of Gordon in the corner and going to help Randall or Naz, whoever is on Joker. And so there is, a possibility that you'll see more Rudy straight up on Joker, and Joker eats Rudy alive. But if that's what it takes to limit the other guys, the Jamal Murrays, Aaron Gordons, Cam Johnsons of the world from going off, and it's Joker going for 40 and no one else doing anything, I think they would live with that. So I think that might ultimately be the strategy if Aaron Gordon is going to burn them from 3, early on. They might test it, see how it goes, and then shift quickly if Gordon is hitting 3s.
Shaq already, we talked about this earlier, very aroused at the possibility of what you laid out, that Rudy would be eaten alive by Joker, although as we mentioned, or as Gaardsy mentioned, Joker eats a lot of people alive. That's why he's so good. The Jamal Murray factor, when we beat them, the last time we played him in the playoffs, he averaged, as you well know, 18.5 points, shot 40% from the floor. When they beat us, he averaged 27, shot 47% from the floor. So, to me, that's the bigger X factor, given you kind of figure Joker is going to be Joker. So we run a lot of our good defenders, wing people. Do we use Jaden on him a lot? What's the approach this time around to at least try to keep him somewhat under control after a terrific season for Jamal?
Yeah, both on 2 of those points. One is, just so everyone knows who wants to rag on Rudy, Joker is averaging 37.5 points a game against Wembanyama this year. So, so that is a real factor. But with Murray,
don't tell Shaq.
You're right. Yes, right. With Murray, you're right. He was absolutely torn apart in that series 2 years ago. Part of it was he was dealing with a calf injury. Part of it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels just made his life a living hell. And so to do that this time around, I think they're going to have to do things differently. Obviously, Nickeil Alexander-Walker isn't here. Dante DiVincenzo is not the same type of perimeter defender that Na is, and Ayo Dosunmu is not either. And so what I would anticipate, at least early, is one thing that they did 2 years ago was they put Jaden McDaniels on Michael Porter Jr. and said, you are not scoring at all in this series. And that's what happened. Jaden just completely erased him from the series. And now he's not here. Cameron Johnson's here. And so I would expect to see more Jaden McDaniels on Jamal Murray to try and make things very difficult on Murray, because Murray looks fantastic this year. He looks really healthy. That 2-man game with Joker is the best in the league. And so you could see maybe Ant will see Jamal Murray a bunch, but I think Jaden will as well, and they'll kind of flip-flop Ant and Jaden between Cam Johnson and Jamal Murray and just try their best to make things difficult. But this is going to be a series that takes a lot out of Anthony Edwards defensively. He has not been very locked in on that end of the floor in the regular season. He has kind of said all season long that once the playoffs come, he'll be ready to do that. And if he can rise to that occasion, the Wolves are going to be in great shape. If he cannot, they're going to be in real trouble.
What's the philosophical defensive approach we can expect from Denver on Anthony? They send a second guy at him a lot. Try to play him more honestly. What's the approach there on that end?
Yeah, honestly, Dan, I think Denver is just prey. Like they don't have any answer for Anthony Edwards, so they actually have to hope that it's on the flip side of last series where Jamal Murray was compromised. Maybe Anthony slows him down a little bit, because without that happening, Christian Braun cannot handle him. If they have to put Aaron Gordon on Anthony Edwards, then Julius Randle is going to feast on whoever is guarding him. And so I don't know exactly what the Nuggets will do. I think you'll see some zone from them. I do think you will see some doubling of Ant and trying to make Julius Randle beat them, trying to make Jaden McDaniels beat them that way, and force Ant to get the ball out of his hands. But every time he sees the Nuggets, he sees blood. And so, he will be ready to go. And he is the Timberwolves' greatest hope in this series, is that he has had his way with the Nuggets over and over again. And there is no reason to believe that he can't do that again this year if his knee is good to go. And we'll have to see how that responds, early on in the series.
Is the Denver approach then more generally, we know we don't guard that well, but we're so good offensively, we still think we can win our share of games and even advance in series, that their offense is, when it's going, is so good that we don't have to worry about guarding?
Yeah, I mean, they clearly they want to be better defensively. They haven't been yet. Maybe in the playoffs they will lock in and be more attuned and improve themselves on that area. But yeah, I would say that they will enter this series believing that they can score at will, and especially, Dan, they want to just keep things close.
Yeah,
into the final 5 minutes, because then they believe that they have an enormous advantage executing their offense and getting their shots versus what the Timberwolves have. And I think they're right about that. So if they can keep things close, they really believe that they will just outscore the Wolves down the stretch. And they may very well be right about that with the way that Murray and Joker are playing. It is a huge, huge ask, but they do not guard the rim at all. That's why I think Ayo Dosunmu will be huge in this series.
Right.
And they don't rebound very well at all either. And so if the Wolves can use their physicality and get to the rim and knock down some threes, then they'll be in business.
In broadening out the discussion, you have a first-round upset for us.
Well, here's what I'm going to take the Wolves in 7.
You are taking the Wolves,
series.
Okay.
I am doing it with trepidation, because they have told me all season long that they're ready to flip a switch, and so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt from what I've seen the last 2 years, but I don't feel good about it. But that's that would certainly be an upset. The other one that I will be watching kind of closely when you look at the rest of the league is if Charlotte gets in as the 2 against Boston, or the 7 against Boston, or the 8 against Detroit, particularly the 8 against Detroit, that's going to be a really interesting series, because Charlotte's been awesome for like 2.5 months on both ends. Detroit does have some vulnerabilities from a shooting standpoint, and so I really want to watch that series and just see what happens, because I think that there is an outside chance that the Hornets could really push particularly the Pistons if they got into a 1-8 against them.
The overall pick in the Eastern Conference, if you have to pick today, is who?
I'd probably go Boston.
You would.
They've been there before. Tatum is not all the way back yet, but he is getting closer. Joe Mazzulla is a great coach. They shoot the ball well. They really play hard, and they are really connected. And so I think they're the most solid team in the East. Detroit's been by far the best team in the East. I just think that Boston has a better chance of covering some of their weaknesses versus Detroit covering their weaknesses. But I could see either one of them coming out of the East.
Let's finish with health. You mentioned Edwards and obviously Jaden coming off injury as well. There's injuries and there's injuries, right? There's nagging stuff that you play through that doesn't really get in the way of doing what you can do best. And then there's times, like you said, where you're just not all there, no matter how hard you're going to try that. What's your gut tell you on both of them in terms of how close to 100% they might be for the start of the first round?
I feel great about Jaden McDaniels, Dan. I think that what I saw from him getting to play a couple of those games last week really told me that he's pretty much physically back. I mean, he played 35 minutes, in his final game in Houston. Looked great. And so he'll use this week to get a little bit more of a feel in his wind back, but I don't think he's going to have any limitations. I also feel really good about Naz Reid. He was starting to turn a corner with his shoulder and then got a couple of days off as well at the end. And so I think he's going to be as healthy as he's been in months. And so that's a good sign for the Wolves. I am more concerned about Anthony Edwards. He looked good against Houston, but that was one game. And kind of talking to people about this injury that he's dealing with, it is one of those things where you can feel really good for a couple of days, and then you can wake up one day and it feels terrible, and you really have a hard time moving around. And so I think it's much less predictable what situation he's going to be in. He could be fine. They could treat it and get him through, and everything will be okay. But I think that is the injury to watch. If it limits his explosion, if it limits his elevation, if it limits his ability to stay in front of the guys he's guarding at all, that's going to be a really hard thing for the Wolves to overcome. And I do think that it is an open question just exactly how good he's going to feel, not just in game 1, but game 4, 5, 6, 7, if necessary.
Lastly, let's play the irresponsible projection game. That is, the Wolves disappoint in the first round. They don't win, although they're not favored. But they're, let's just say, not even particularly competitive. They don't take the series the distance or close to it. What are you hearing, or what does your gut tell you, based on everything you know regarding Conley, about the likelihood of the core of this team getting broken up? Conley tends to be patient until he isn't. So if there's not much, in other words, you don't get out of round 1, what direction do you think this team is likely to go?
Yeah, let's just say, let's play worst case scenario, Dan. Yeah, 4-1 or 4-2 and not really competitive. I do think that there is a very high likelihood that there are significant changes to the roster next year or over this summer. We have seen Tim Connolly try to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, try to trade for Kevin Durant, even when things were going relatively well for this team. And so if it goes poorly, I would say that, yes, I would look at revisiting the Giannis trade talks, because those will certainly heat up again. I would look at Kyrie Irving. I would look at ball handling guards. I would look at wings. I think that they could look to break up that Randall, Gobert, Naz core of bigs. I think would be your first kind of place you would look for changes. And then also, Dante DiVincenzo will be going into the last year of his deal. And so you'll be looking at his situation. Sure. You'll be looking at, a lot of players, I think, will be, possible. I think the Ant, Jaden, and even Naz, I think, is really a part of this core. They'll try to retain them, but I think all bets are off on a lot of the other situations with the players. there's a lot of stakes in this series, Dan. On the other side of things, which I know fans are talking about, when are they going to fire Chris Finch? When are they going to fire Chris Finch? Tim Connolly's track record on the coach side is much more conservative.
Yeah.
He does not like to fire coaches. And I don't know that Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry like to fire coaches either. And so I think it's much less likely that Finch were to go, that there would be a change at head coach. But I do think it's more likely, again, if things went poorly, that you'd see some major changes to the roster.
The dislike factor that's real, not projected because it's fun and it's cool, that's legitimate between these two teams. What do you think it is?
Yeah, it's high. It is really high, Dan. They have played 28 times over the last 3 years or so in playoffs and the regular season. They're 14-14 against each other. They don't like each other. I don't think that Jaden McDaniels cares for Jamal Murray all that much. I don't think that Nikola Jokic has liked when Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels kind of celebrate and showboat at the end of wins against the Nuggets. And so there's certainly a lot of respect and fear on both sides. Both sides know that they can lose this series, but there's also a lot of intensity as well. And I think that there's going to be high emotions. I think that there's going to be trash talk and there's going to be back and forth. And that makes for a wonderful rivalry. Like this is awesome. Like these two teams have gone at it tooth and nail for the last 4 or 5 years. And there is that built-in animosity that has come up as you keep on playing in high leverage situations. And so these are going to be more high leverage situations. And I expect to see a lot more, stare downs and trash talk and a bump here and a bump there and things like that. It's going to be great theater.
Excellent primer, my friend. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
John Krasinski, Jonny Athletic, as we call him, with some good stuff. Really essentially previewing Wolves Denver because it's in the books and it will start Saturday right here on the Timberwolves channel via the iHeartRadio app, the free iHeartRadio app. You have to look, am I on Prime? Am I on Apple? Am I on Insta? Whatever. You're on. If you got the iHeart app, you're going to get Timberwolves basketball each and every one of these playoff games. Stay tuned.
Fleet Farm in Carver this Saturday for their Fleet Fest celebration. Join them from 10 to noon. Incredible deals, free food, lucky, and prizes. All the details, go see Sauce Fleet Farm, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
We got Louis tomorrow, I'm assuming, to preview Wild Stars. We will have Russo this week. We hope to have Wes Walls this week as well. Who knows who else? In the history of playoff hockey, has a team ever substituted goalies period to period, shuttled them in, like changed goalies purposefully, regardless of performance?
Just to give a new look?
Just to give a new look. Has that ever happened?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, I don't think it's very likely. I'm gonna watch some of the Wild game tonight to see how the goaltender does. Do I know that the Wild management will use tonight's performance to help make its decision? No. For all I know, they've already made the decision. Right? But I think there's been enough slippage and enough ascension from the kid that I would be shocked if there's not consideration being given to making that switch. Now, it would be ballsy. It would be big because it'd be a fairly, at this point, unconventional move. But here's to me what you got to calculate out on this thing. Do you say to yourself, you know what? Maybe that's what we need to break out of this morass.
Oh, interesting.
9 straight playoff series lost. Maybe we need to do something that people go, they did what? Now, if it backfires, if you start Volstead and he gives up 5 goals, then you have the issue, well, now what do you do? Well, I would say what you do is you go to the other guy.
Yeah.
And, we had a text Friday from somebody saying, here's the problem. If you don't start the veteran, you'll lose him for the whole series if you have to go back to him if Volstead struggles. And I can make the argument that if depending on the mentality of the player involved, because not all players are equal mentally. Some are more sensitive than others.
Yep.
That shouldn't matter one bit at the professional level. There should be none of that. And in fact, you can even turn it the other way, which is you're going to get one PO'd goaltender who's going to say, "Oh, you didn't go with me?
Right.
Watch what I do. I'm going to make you regret that the rest of this series as I shut out the opponent and take us into round 2.
My thought on that mental aspect of it is if your veteran goaltender
is that fragile?
Is going to go to pieces because he doesn't get the game 1 start.
You don't have a number 1.
You're cooked.
Yeah.
Then you're cooked. And by the way, I don't believe that's to be Gus Bus. But if that's how you're operating, then you're probably kind of cooked anyway. Or if you think that that's going to happen, if you were the team, then you're probably cooked anyway. Bill Guerin will talk you through the decision on Friday.
Oh, that's right. We got Guerin on Friday, day before the opener.
Yep.
That's great.
So I don't know if he'll make any pronouncements. Yeah, I know who. I'm not telling you.
Yeah, that's what he'll probably say.
Yeah, I don't have to.
Well, do they? What is our protocol on that? Like last year, or most years when we make the playoffs, do we generally announce or do we wait? Do we make people wait until? Sometimes, some years it might have been obvious anyway, but I don't think it's obvious this year. I really don't. Do you?
No, I don't.
At this point.
And that's not even necessarily negative because both guys have played really well this year. The whole point of this season, people talked about it all year. It's great to have 2 go because you've got a fresh goaltender every night. You're getting their best. They're both playing well enough to win. Like, I actually don't think it needs to be such a Wagnerian opera because you've liked both guys at different points this season. Now, the way Gus Bus has been playing here recently, obviously is a little alarming. That's a little scary. To answer your question, I don't remember. I feel like most of the time, all the lineup stuff is day of.
Oh, day of, okay.
That's what we do during the regular season, right? It's always morning skate, who stays out. That's how you know that guy's not starting. There's all these tells and all these traditions that go along with it. I don't think you have to say anything until you have to say anything, and that's usually the day of.
All right, let's do this. Let's get a break in because I think Dallas is on the clock already, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. I thought I just saw the commissioner not wearing New York Liberty apparel this year, amazingly enough.
Oh, that's too bad.
Which is interesting. Although there's no countdown, so maybe they're not.
It starts at 6:30.
No, it's not till 6:30. Yep. Okay, so we're not going to be able to get it. I was hoping maybe we get a shot at Lynx pick.
They're saying the pick is in. So
they are saying it's in.
I looked at ESPN and it said 7:30 Eastern. So
all right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and break, and if we're lucky, maybe we even get to take a quick look at what the Lynx do with the second overall pick.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
Can we go live to the Westwood One coverage of the WNBA draft to find out who the Lynx take with the number 2 overall pick?
If Westwood One had it, yes, we could.
So AZ Fudd, as expected, one could say, goes number 1 from UConn. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's now confirmed.
To the Dallas Wings.
To the Dallas Wings. No surprise there. The Lynx are now on the clock, and I guess is the pick in? I don't know. It should be soon. I don't know what kind of delay they have between picks in the WNBA draft, if it's Wagnerian opera-like or not so much. So no big surprise. Did anybody ask AZ about her head coach, former head coach?
Gino?
How Gino's, kind of like handling the controversy after his meltdown.
Didn't look like
Maybe
that came up. I didn't
settle down.
I know Holly Rowe was doing the interview. Didn't look like that was the direction that she went.
So we could go with one of the 2 front court players, or we could go with the TCU guard. Is that correct?
Olivia Miles, yes. Yeah. The triple-double machine.
And again, it's always hard for me to argue with great wing prospects, right? Because this game, look, there's still a place for big people, for front court people.
Yep.
The men's game, the women's game. But it's I think it's still largely, even in the WNBA side, too, a wing-dominated game, right? So if you can get somebody who's very good there, I mean, you could argue we need to inject a little more talent.
Yeah.
Into the backcourt as well, correct?
Well, truthfully, I think the biggest reason they didn't win the championship 2 years ago was
the
because
inconsistency there?
at point guard.
Yeah,
As
sure.
much as we like Courtney Williams, and she's obviously an important piece, they're paying her $1.2 million now. They didn't get enough there. That's Lindsay Whalen's biggest job as the point guard coach.
True.
Is to kind of get them all organized.
Here we go. The commission is about to announce the big pick. We can't. Well,
You're on a much more delay. I already know who.
Oh, you know?
I already know.
Go ahead, give it to us.
Olivia Miles, TCU.
TCU. So we do not go front court.
Yep.
All the discussion about whether we go Lauren Betts or the phenom out of España. We go Olivia Miles, 5'10" guard out of Texas Christian University. And is she viewed as a plug and play? Pretty close to it?
I would think yes.
Yeah,
I would think yes. Yeah, she's definitely not a project, and she's a bucket. I mean, you see the averages right there. She averages 20, can get rebounds.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
She's injecting like you say, the talent and just what's the right word? I mean, she just knows how to score.
Yep.
Like she just knows how to score and how to run good offense.
So that will be, she will be Whalen's number one, I don't want to say project, but that's who she's going to be working with right there.
Exactly right.
Yeah. They're showing a little highlight package of her now. Like you said, almost 20 points a game, and good all-around numbers, 7.2 rebounds and 6.5 assists as well. Looks like she's got some speed to her game.
Yes.
Too, which
some juice
we could use. I think this club could use some juice in that regard. And again, we talked about, if you pick the Spain center, that's more of a project. Miles, I think, represents somebody, as you say, if it's not plug and play, it's close. It's not someone who's viewed as, well, you're going to have to wait 3 years for her to figure out what game she's playing. She's already considered fairly polished in that sense, although obviously you always get better over a period of time. By the way, I want to remind you of highlights of today's program, including an outstanding visit with Sam Mitchell, who was at Target Center last night for the return of KG. I think Sam was looked like baseline to me.
He was, yes. And the baseline next to the Pelicans bench,
right, exactly,
across the court.
Good memories of KG going way back to the beginning, and the way he surprised Garnett by coming in and even apologizing to him for not being there for KG's Hall of Fame induction. All of that will be part of the on-demand portion of the program that you can get later. We chatted with Sam, I think, starting about 3:15 or so, went to about 3:45. Good conversation with Jonny Athletic as well. We've covered a lot of other ground today from the toy department. We demanded that the naysayers of the whole Pollad regime, this ownership group, apologize, with the Twins now off to a 9-7 start, tied for the best record in the American League at this point. We also talked plenty of goaltender and Minnesota Wild. That'll be a subject I think we'll be advancing, I'm sure, all week with an outstanding array of guests. In addition, we had a News on the March segment and a scoop that I called maybe the greatest news scoop in the history of the country, which I wasn't even aware of. We had some fun with that and got into some other news items as well. And the only thing I didn't get to today, but I think it can be saved until tomorrow's program, and I don't even know, I'm not sure you're enough of a ball guy to pay attention to this kind of stuff.
Not.
But there's already some good new stuff on Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani, the marvelous, maybe unprecedented baseball talent, about the way he is already challenging himself to do something he hasn't done previously. Think about that. You're Shohei Ohtani. You've done stuff that's really unprecedented in Major League Baseball. You have made already a legitimate argument that you are the greatest baseball player who ever lived. You already have made that argument. It's not laughable, at the very least. And yet, he is vowing to challenge himself to go where even he has not gone before.
That's the Mamba mentality.
Is that greatness?
Yeah, that's the Mamba mentality.
And, of course, he plays for an L.A. team.
Well, obviously. Who
Palm
else?
trees, the whole bit. That's just the way it is. Fan on demand on the air. Is that correct? Is that coming up next?
Yes, and then the Zombie Wild in front of the Gus bus. will play against St. Louis.
What's the over-under on goals allowed?
No idea.
I'm going to say 4.
For Gus Bus?
I hope I'm wrong.
Oh, man. I know.
Well, again, that's the question. It's a zombie team, so if they don't play very well defensively, do you put that on him? I mean, I guess it all depends on the kind of quality of shots you give up, right?
That's true.
If it's, well, nothing's happening in front of him, then you say it's not all his fault. But we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to that decision being announced, even if we have to announce it. Talk to you tomorrow at 3.